to our Shaolin talks. So today we have a really interesting topic for you. We've done loads of research on this topic for you, so we hope you find it as interesting as we have. Just to introduce ourselves, my name is Martine.
I'm Janine.
I'm Flora. I'm Melody.
Yeah, and we've done some amazing research for you guys on our topic today. So our topic today is, drum roll, is self-cultivation or self-development. So I bet you're wondering out there exactly how is that defined? Like, what defines self-cultivation? What does it actually mean, self-cultivation or self-discovery, self-growth? So when we looked it up, we came up with the definition that it's the development of one's mind or the capacity of one's own efforts. So self-cultivation is the cultivation and integration, coordination of your mind and your body. So this is associated with the attempt to kind of go beyond the normal state of being and enhance your capacity or your potential. So what we think this means in layman's terms is how we're going to look at the ways in which you can explore, the ways in which you can reach your full potential as a human being. Yeah, that's a massive subject. Yeah. So we
like a life achievement.
Life achievement, yeah. So we came up with some subheadings for this topic. So we thought there were some areas that we would really like to explore with you today. So we're going to explore self-cultivation as a psychological process. We're going to look at it in philosophy, in terms of philosophy, in terms of education and moral conduct, and also in culture and well-being and tradition. So, and we're hoping that through the exploration, we're going to realise different ways in how we can become the highest or the best version of ourselves.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah? So we understand that it's quite subjective, and what I mean by that is it's relative to each person's needs and understanding. I think philosophy is a very interesting subject as it is extremely subjective anyway. But we know that it's influenced by certain factors. So it's influenced by, number one, your constitution, which is a little bit like your personality type. We're gonna chat about this later. Your environment, where you've been brought up in the world, who you've been brought up by, your culture, your religion, personal experiences, so things you've experienced in your life, where you've traveled to and what you've experienced. And the last thing is your education, so who you've been influenced by, what teachers have given you some understanding or some guidance, or what philosophies have you discovered and applied to your life. So this is a very interesting subject for us today, and obviously you out there, you're going to have your own understanding, and we're going to explore it within what we've researched and what we've experienced from ourselves. So the first question, this is a massive topic, is why is self-cultivation so important? Why is it important? Why do we think about it? What does it mean? So I'm going to ask Janine. She's the fountain of all knowledge.
Thanks, Martine.
A researcher. So yeah, what do you think?
What I think or what I know?
No, both.
So no, it obviously is. Self-cultivation is obviously important for you and beneficial in many ways because there are different benefits to it in different ways. Why you should do this and how to better yourself and why you should do it. So one big thing. I mean, also if you research this, comes up with most of the stuff the same things, but some repeats itself. So one of the biggest thing is obviously you learn to know about yourself, right? You learn about your feelings, your emotions, where you stand, what you want to do, where you want to be. You become more confident in yourself by doing that. So also kind of confident, more focused. If you get clearer ideas who you are, what you do, you can focus things like on your life and where you want to be, what you have to do to get there.
Yeah, I think definitely self-awareness is definitely a big part of self-cultivation or self-development. Do you guys agree? Do you think that's important as well? Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, do you think of any things that we could possibly do to help us to become more self-aware? Anything, any experiences that you guys have had that help you?
I think the feeling that we are expressing every day is very important to help us to know who we are. Just a very easy way to understand the feeling is whenever you wake up, have a feeling of what you feel like. Just think about how you feel like at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
About
understand.
that when you wake up or when you go to brush your teeth, think about how you feel about that. You just have your mind like every moment how you feel about everything. I think that will help you understand yourself better.
Yeah. I think that's really great because a lot of people don't really, they just wake up, you know, they go to work, or they're so concerned in their life with what's going on. Maybe they have a family to look after, you've got to go to work, you've got to earn money, and then you have to come home, feed the family, and they're just like on this cycle constantly. And maybe we don't ever have a moment just to stop and think about actually, what am I doing in this moment? Like, how do I feel in this moment? How is this affecting me now? And I think what Melody is saying is a really great point, and that comes up in lots of different factors, and it comes up in all those different things, you know, like psychological, educational, moral conduct. Because when you really think about things, it helps you to really clearly see and help you to understand. You know, I think that's really, really important.
It's also when you one other thing is obviously to find your purpose in life, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the big one as well. Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? Why am I doing all of this? You know? So that's the big one as well. That interlinks with what we're talking about today, and that's links with this too, because it's like, why do you wake up?
What makes you wake up every morning? What makes you want to carry on with each day? Yeah. What's your drive? You know, some people, I mean, they don't have a drive. Some people don't know why. What makes them do the things that they do? But I think this topic of self-cultivation will lead you to more awareness of, you know, more complete feeling inside of why am I here? What am I doing? You know, and also I think that changes in life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So like when you're young, I know not young anymore, but when I was young, you know, you have a completely different motivation of what I wanted for life than what I have now. So, you know, like Janine, you were saying before about when you're younger, you felt like you were more driven in your career, you were like more
I mean that's
focused on that.
just natural, isn't it? I mean, if you
And family and things.
if you look at, I don't know if you heard of this, like basic human needs. There's like this pyramid from Abraham Maslow.
Oh, right, okay.
Or Maslow, I don't know how you pronounce him. And he basically, and it's quite out there for everyone to research. So just research human pyramid of basic needs. It is a pyramid, but it's like an academic circus is quite criticized because it's more overlapping.
Oh,
So it
right,
gives you
okay.
like 5 stages of basic needs.
Okay.
So like the first one is like physiological. So basically,
Primal.
primal,
Primal
like
needs.
like that you need food and shelter, and that you have to have the good health.
Base.
You know, that's like your base. And the second one is like your safety. You know, it's like how important is it? Like if you're in war times, how to keep safe. As we are not in wartime, it's more like are you employed? Do you have money? Can you provide for your family? And then the next one would be like family. Like we all have a sense of belonging, and we have relationships, and we want to build good relationships. So and then you have one which is self-esteem, like how do you respect others? How are you respected?
And is this going up like this? Like in a
Yeah, it is
pyramid?
going up like this, but
Like
I wouldn't necessarily do it like that.
So you see it like that?
I wouldn't see it like this. And then
Like
obviously
that.
you have the top one, which is the self-cultivation one. And so obviously certain needs need to be met. So basically, it's like the original idea is certain needs to be met before you can go to the next ones, right?
Okay.
But I think it's like from recent more research or like the criticism is it's depending on age. So they've done studies on age that different needs are different for different age groups. You know, for example, for teenagers, like the self-esteem phase is much more important than everything else. For a like child, like the basic needs is more important because you need to live
Survive.
right? So for a I don't know, for a young like middle or in their 30s, it might be like building a career, building a family. That might be more important. Like for an old person, it might be more safety or something, you know. So it's very subjective again, but it's still you have certain stages in life which are important to you, right? And certain categories. This is just another tool. I would just see it more as a tool of finding out where are you in life, what are your priorities, what do you want to focus your goals on, right? So for example, like as you said, if I would ask myself where I am in life, I mean I'm not looking after a career now, so for me it would be more like okay, how can you better yourself? I mean I've got a job, I've got family, I've got a relationship, I've got I don't know, a place to live, right? So my if this is my basic needs,
Foundation is
right?
that,
So I'm looking for the next thing. What can I do? So what is the next thing that will be important to me to better myself?
I think that's quite interesting because I can understand like if you don't have your primal needs met. So for example, you're not going to be thinking about like, for example, I've got one here about Myers-Briggs, which is like a personality type indicator, just to help you to understand yourself as a person. It's another method, like Janine was saying. But for example, you're not going to be thinking about self-realization if you don't have food to eat on the table, right? You're going to be thinking like, where's my next meal coming from? And you're going to be like that. But actually, having said that, when you are in those primal situations, they are extremely good indicators of a test of your strength and your weaknesses. They tell you who you are as a person and how you respond in those situations. So even though you are responding in a, maybe like dealing with some kind of trauma or some kind of loss in your life, or like the COVID situation, people losing their jobs, even though that is a survival type thing, you can learn so much about yourself from those types of experiences and how you deal with those situations and how you deal in that. Do you, rather than your usual response, which is like, oh my gosh, I can't cope, I'm going panic, I'm having a meltdown, which is normally what I do, I have a massive meltdown. You choose to do it from a different point of view.
You also, I think even if you have your meltdown, you go like, okay, what am I doing now? You then sit back and go, okay, what is the next step, right? You sort your things out first, and then you see what have I got and where can I go.
And it's like self-cultivation and self-realization is knowing what you're like in those moments. And do you choose to deal with that moment in a way that's productive for yourself, or do you choose to let it unbalance you in your life? I can think of many different things like that.
Maybe we can give
an example. Okay, so what things have been really struggling in your life that have happened to you that you've learned from or that you've really grown from? I think that's a really good question to ask ourselves. Yeah? Janine. I always ask Janine. I'll do myself as well. It's not fair, is it?
Well, I think it's many things. So, for example, losing your job. That's one thing which kind of turns your life around, you know. So, I mean, I think I've changed jobs around, but it's like the first time where you actually, where it was like, okay, you're in a job, and I think I was in a job, and I was kind of quite comfortable. I was going on holiday, and when I came back, I was like, oh, we can't pay you anymore.
There's a lot
And
of people
it's a bit like where
you
you all of a sudden you kind of are like, oh my god, it's like it's something you hadn't planned for. That was like the first time where I thought like I didn't see it coming. And I also didn't so you're also a bit like, oh my god, what am I doing now, you know. I think that was one big thing where I also kind of went back and go like, where you have to go like, what do I actually want to do now. So basically, do I obviously find a new job, but it's like all of a sudden you also have so many possibilities, right? Because one thing ended, but on another way it's like there's so much more where you can go, and you just need to kind of find your way. And that's, I think for me at that point in time, I was like, okay, well, I did many things. I applied for other jobs. I also looked into actually studying. So in the end, that was kind of also the point where I was like, okay, I kind of want to go to university. What do I have to do it, right? So you kind of run parallel things as well. So I looked for a job to provide for myself, and at the other time I also looked at, I want to go to university. So what can I do to make that happen?
So it's quite good that you took that situation and you were able to deal with it from a positive point of view. You found your strengths in that. What about you, Flora? You think you're really tired?
No, at the moment I think because I'm just graduated, so it's a bit sad for me in my life at the moment, because you need to make sure what kind of way you're gonna go to be.
It's a big change, isn't it? It's a big crossroads.
It's a big period. So at the moment, sometimes you will feel probably you'll be stressed out, and you will lose your confidence, or suddenly you will feel, wow, what can you do? Because when you are just out of the school, well, it's just two different worlds, school world and the social world. And sometimes, even if you know you have those kind of abilities, but how can you use this to reach that level that you want to achieve?
So what did you, obviously coming to England from China must have been a real challenge.
A big challenge.
Yeah?
Because
what did you learn about yourself from coming here from China? What is it that you developed in yourself for strength?
A lot, because England and China is two totally different countries, and culture, manners. Well, one thing that I've learned is you can deal with my life troubles better than before, because before when you are in China, whatever the trouble happened, you can ask your parents, and now your parents cannot help you.
Because they're like 1,000 miles away.
It's so far, so you have to deal with bills, you need to look for a house to live, and you need to, if the language is not so good at that time, so I have to learn step by step how I can contact
So you
people.
basically got really independent, right?
Independent.
That's really good.
And I think maybe you can't see it, but I think maybe you got a lot of courage. That's a really brave thing to do, actually, to come to another country.
To come out comfort
That's a really brave thing to do.
I think in terms of self-cultivation, coming to another country, for me, it's actually helping me to be more empathy, like understanding more about people around me. Because you need to be aware of, in a different country, whether your behavior will affect people around you, because it's in a different culture, So
that's quite important.
so that's one thing, and another is I think it helps me to be more expressive.
Confident.
Confidence. That's one thing.
Expressive.
More expressive people around me, to my friends, and also to my especially family. Yeah.
I think I share a similar experience because when I was younger, I was living in London, and I remember I was on this journey I was on a journey as an actor, and I remember what I was like at that time as a person, and I was extremely, I would say, single-minded and very. This is just me personally, and very just thinking about what I wanted in my life and not really thinking about what anybody else wanted. In fact, it was quite selfish. I would say I was quite selfish. And then something happened in my life where I got really ill, and I never had anything like that in my life before. I never felt sick. I was always really strong, active, and first time in my life I got really sick, and I thought, I just thought, it really changed my perspective on how I saw things, and actually on my whole way I saw life and other people. Like you say, I had much more compassion for other people and what they were going through in their lives, and then my perspective completely changed. And so it came from something that I felt I was literally going to die. I thought I was going to die. So obviously I didn't, because I'm still here now today. But that kick-started a process of self-learning and self-development, that I went out there and was like, actually, it's not all about me, it's about other people around me. Maybe it's about my family and my friends, and then it goes on to how I can help other people and that, and the path just then opens up. So I think it's something at the time that you think is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in the world actually could be the best thing, could be the turning point in your life, could be a chance for you to realize something about yourself that you didn't even think about.
So usually it's all of what we said. It's you be put in a position where you're out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
You're in a position where you're out of your comfort zone. So probably when this happens first, it's something which you might not have planned, which is something that just happened, right? But things like this will happen in future again and again and again.
Yeah.
So, and also if you want to specifically and consciously develop yourself, you actually need to put yourself into these out of comfort zones.
Yeah, I think
so.
That's,
You need to if you want to consciously do this, you have to put yourself into situations where you're not comfortable in.
Yeah.
To grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how you grow.
So I suppose we need to look at it from a different viewpoint, the viewpoint of suffering. So suffering, people are not happy, they're uncomfortable. Yeah, and like you
it's
said,
a bit Buddhist.
It's a little bit like a Buddhist philosophy. Yeah, we said we were going to cover philosophy today. Yeah, Buddhist philosophy. Suffering is all around us, constantly suffering. That's what the Buddhists believe, isn't it? You're constantly suffering. But actually, through your wisdom or through your awareness, you're able to see it in a different kind of way. I think that's what comes about. So, for example, you learn. You learn about people. You learn about yourself. You learn about people and other people, and therefore you understand them. You have a wisdom. You understand them. Therefore, you accept who they are, what they are, why they do the things they do. You understand why you do the things you do, and why you say and act the way you want.
Yeah.
And therefore, because you have that understanding, you have compassion.
But that's
compassion.
That's a long way to get there. If you
You
say,
have compassion.
I think it's really tricky to understand other people.
It's the hardest. I don't understand. That's why I'm still studying, still practicing. Yeah, it's really. But I really like what you said about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Have you ever put yourself in a really uncomfortable? Have you chosen
purpose,
to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to learn or to grow?
Every day.
Yes, every day. Every
That's
day.
good.
That is really good.
Every day you can ask yourself what you can improve for today. Like
Yeah.
what kind of new things you learn today.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the kind of way that you push yourself to go into an open area more.
It's a good way to measure as well.
Like
It's a good
challenge
Yeah.
yourself. Like today, for example, if I cannot cook and today I try to cook, that's another challenge that push yourself
Yeah.
to learn something more, to develop a new skill.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's just very little bit
No, but that's so great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like just the simple things. You know, it doesn't have to be some amazing realization or amazing revelation that you have. It can be found in those really simple moments where
Well, based on
you choose
details, I
something.
think something based on details. Everything,
Yeah.
needs steps.
Yeah, you don't always have to like
Such
aim
a
for
That's my
Like-
problem. I'm always like aiming for something. I need
You-
to
you
achieve
kind of-
that.
You're aiming for enlightenment already, right?
Oh, we'll be learned.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like you get there by little steps.
Little steps.
That's very.
And I guess it's kind of cyclic as well.
Hmm.
It's kind of, you're not always kind of building up to something. You kind of, I know that when I do like some studying or researching something, or maybe like researching patient or whatever I'm learning, I remember and then I forget. Like you have a life lesson where you learn something, you know, and you think, oh yeah, I need to be more courageous, or I need to really face that fear. And then when the time comes around again, when you're faced with the same problem, you're like, oh, I totally forgot what I learned from that experience. And it's almost like you have to relearn it again. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that problem quite a lot. Yeah. So I think we've chatted a little bit about how we could develop these in our lives. I mean, would you say that one of them is, you said like challenging yourself, and then I think Janine, you mentioned something about facing your fear or doing something that feels uncomfortable in your life. And I just wanted to ask, like, have you done anything really scary? Have you done anything that really frightens you, really scares you?
Yeah, I've done 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. But now it was challenging before, but now it was not. So I went to a public speaking club.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh god, that is crazy. That's pretty scary.
Public speaking club was not my native language. Of course, it was
It's
English.
even scarier.
Oh my
It was English public club. It was really scary in the first time.
Yeah.
And there was a rule in the club is that every person who visit the club in the first time have to come up on stage speak to introduce yourself.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
that's the rule. I didn't even remember what I spoke on the stage, but yeah, that was very scary.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, after you went through that stage and you keep practice on the stage by speaking to the public, and so far now, I think it was not scary to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that aligns with the point that Janine was talking about, to stay out of your comfort
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really true.
Yeah.
It's really true. Yeah. I think there's lots of different ways in which you can do like self-discovery. You know, if you don't have, even if you don't have an opportunity to do something that's really scary, you can always, there's lots of different models like Janine was telling you about. There's another model called a Myers-Briggs, which is about your personality type. And I was going to go through all of those today, but I think to go through it all now is quite a lot. It's quite a big subject, but you can look into that Myers-Briggs, and it talks about whether you are an introvert or whether you're extrovert, or it's whether you sense or whether you intuitively use your intuition, whether you're a thinker or a feeler, or whether you're a judger and a perceiver. And this gives you like a kind of, this combination of personality types will lead you to like understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. So
And
this
also
is,
other people's, right?
and other people as well. Yeah.
Maybe you can go through the test one by one.
Yeah.
Three of us.
It's quite okay. Should we just do it with one then? Maybe do you want to try it?
Yeah, try when you ask one question to three of us and we just say the answer.
Okay.
But then
So-
you just need to remember your
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay. So we'll do like a mock test. Okay. So Are you a introvert or an extrovert? So extrovert is outward turning, so you get your energy from other people, or introvert is where you tend to be more thought orientated or enjoy deep meaningful social interactions more, spending time alone. What would you say you are?
Introvert.
Introvert. Extrovert.
Introvert.
Introvert. Pretty obvious extrovert, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Okay,
really interesting.
so that's fine.
That's
So,
really
yeah.
interesting. Okay. The next one is, are you a thinker or a feeler? That means, do you prefer thinking on facts or objects and data, or do you tend to think about people's emotions and to arrive at a conclusion? So this is a bit about how you make decisions based on information given to you. So facts or data, thinker, or arriving on a conclusion based on people and emotions. Thinker or feeler.
It's quite tricky, isn't it?
Thinker.
Thinker,
Either more.
feeler,
Yeah.
I think thinker as well.
thinker.
What about you?
I think feeler. I think definitely feeler.
Okay.
I'm pretty not thinking. I don't think I'm much. Yeah, I'm not very much thinker. That's definitely what I need to work on. Okay, last one is sensing and intuition. So how you gather information from the world around you. Do you enjoy facts and details and hands-on experience, or do you think about possibilities, imagining the future, and abstract theories? So this is sensing, or kind of intuition, what you feel might or might not happen.
Sensing.
Sensing, intuition,
Sensing.
sensing. This is quite difficult. Probably sensing. I think sensing. Yeah, sensing. Okay. And the last one is judging and perceiving. So maybe you can do this at home with as well. So you can kind of work it out for yourself as well. So the last one is, do you judge, preferring structure and firm decisions, so you have an opinion on what you see, or are you a perceiver? So you're more objectively looking and perceiving, more open, flexible, adaptive.
The first one, judging.
Judging,
I think perceiver.
perceiver, perceiver. I think perceiver, yeah, perceiver. So then what it does is you add up all of these kind of factors and you come to a personality type, which I can't tell you now. we will be here forever.
We can just do ours and then
Okay,
we can
so what,
research
what's your-
ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, so my letters were ITSP.
ITSP. You are the crafter.
Ooh.
Crafting. Making.
So
Crafting.
I will need to go away and look it up now.
Now you have to go and look it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
crafter. I'll look it
Okay.
up.
What's your one?
I forgot the options.
You had.
Oh, you ISFP. That's your one.
Yeah.
What's that?
No. You are ESPF. Yeah. That is the performer.
Okay.
Performer.
Okay.
And
Go
your
with
one
yourself.
is I.
ATS.
J.
J.
Yeah.
You are the inspector.
Mm.
You are a good person to
Okay.
have around,
So
inspector.
what are you, Missy? What are you wanting?
I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So I think these are different things that you can do to help understand yourself a little bit better. But I think another way that you can, which is really good to help self-development, is steps that you can take to improve sort of things like your physical body, your mental health and well-being. Anything like that's going to help you to develop as a person. So maybe we can think of some things that will help us to grow or develop within ourselves in a positive way. So I think I mentioned mental health or mental health well-being, things like anything from like you said, finding a new course or learning a new skill or finding some quiet time for yourself. If you know what kind of personality type you are, or you know what you are like as a person, then you can also see areas in which you need to improve. So if you are quite introverted, if you're an introvert, like Melody said, I'm quite introverted, or this one here, lovely introvert, then maybe you need to push your boundaries and do things like stand up in front of people and do talks in front of people.
I think sometimes you might need to go. Sometimes if you I think like me, if you don't do it yourself, you have lovely friends that do it for you, and just push you or kind of challenge you to things, or go like, let's go and do this, you know. So.
Or if you're an extrovert, maybe you need time for quiet reflection.
Yeah.
Maybe you need time for yourself and on your own, and not always out there performing and entertaining people. You need to find your inner peace. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to spend more time
That's not
with
what
ourselves.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, my whole life like that. Yeah. So these are the things that you might discover about yourself by just doing like simple things like this. So, and then I think the other thing, or the last thing that we could look at is how can you motivate yourself to do these things? You know, sometimes people out there lost their motivation, or they might have given up hope about what they wanted to achieve in their life, or their direction and what they're going in. So how do you get that back? And what can you do to stay positive? Or what kind of ideas do you think we can give to help us on this journey of self-cultivation? Or how do we get motivated to do those things and to get back on that path again?
Well, goals, isn't it? Goal is one. Having goals, I think, having or having something, to work towards. I think. So maybe set yourself some goals, or or something that you actually can show for in the end, because achievement always, like if you achieve something, you feel good about you, right? You say you've done something good, you overcome something, whatever it is. So, or if you have a tiny goal and you achieve something, then that kind of makes you continue, I would say.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting, like, for example, the way you perceive, like, when you, say for example, you set yourself a goal and you didn't achieve it, you might think like you failed, but actually there is an understanding of what is failure and what is success, like what does that actually mean? And for everybody that's completely different, and for some people that doesn't exist. So the way you perceive something is just your perception, right? So you just need to change your perception on where you see it. The moment you might feel like you failed at something, but actually, have you really failed, or have you actually learned something from that experience? Have you grown from it? Have you developed? Will you learn next time? You know, if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, what is it that you still haven't learned? You haven't really failed. You're just learning from all those experiences.
I think it's a bit of a balance, isn't it? It's like success drives you to do more, but failure also drives you to do better. So it's a bit of a mixture, isn't it? Because if you fail, it's not the end of the world, because you still kind of want to come around and do better, or do it a different way, or do it again.
Get back up on your horse and keep going. Like, knock you off, and then just get back on your horse and like
That's quite a good analogy.
This is what I see. So and obviously like staying positive, giving, underneath that, I suppose you have other philosophies like, especially when we do our martial arts training here, like having discipline, endurance, all of those key things will help you to keep going, giving yourself targets, making yourself disciplined that you do get up and you do practice, or you really want to achieve those things in your life, or you really want to find an answer or purpose.
I think another one might be accountability. You tell someone, this is what I'm going to do, and then you basically have to show for it, because you told someone that's what you're going to do.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So
maybe you, rather than saying you need to go tell someone, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change this about myself, I'm going to become quieter and more introverted, I'm going to do that,
because then people will come back to you and go like, how about your plan?
There you go.
How was it working?
God, did I actually do that? You kind of commit to it, don't you?
Yeah.
You make like a commitment to stuff.
Yeah.
That's important, making a full commitment to something. Definitely. Okay.
I mean, this. I think this topic is really broad and really. It's like you can talk about this for hours.
Well, I think it's great. We've come up with some good facts and some good tips and explored it a little bit more. But before we finish, I just want to ask each and every one of us, just to kind of recap about how you feel about self-cultivation and what it means to you, and if there's anything else you want to add in today's talk today. Anything you want to say? Maybe Janine first.
Okay.
We have some time to think.
Well, I think obviously self-cultivation is important. So to get your full potential in life, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of that you go in for a purpose. That I do believe that everyone has a purpose
Yeah, I do too.
in life, and obviously, well, you should find out what that is for you, and then you should go for it and kind of make it happen. But as I also believe that it's linked with your own happiness, so that that will make you happy or gives you a fulfilled life. So yeah, so that you basically live your life fullest and to your full potential. That's why I think you should do this and get out of your comfort zone and explore life and live life. So
Flora, what do you think?
I think for self-cultivation, the first thing is you need to don't be afraid of testing yourself, asking those questions to you. That means you are going to a good direction. You are going into good direction. And we can also, like Janine said, to see what kind of ability you have and to set up good goals for you to have a good future. I think that's necessary for young people of any kind of stages, because different stages, ages, they have different life goals and and I think it's quite important for our young people as well, because we like impartially we are doing some changes for the world.
Of course.
It's like you affect,
The future, of course, yeah.
When you are doing those kind of things, and you are obviously changing your surroundings and influence people around you as well. So
how you shape and build your future.
probably you will influence your family, your friends, your partners, and that's quite influence. Not only for yourself, so good for people around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just to add in one more last point. Yeah, I just read some article talking about the definition of self, and they were saying there are three selves. One is past self, and the other two are past self, present self, and future self. Past self is definitely it was you in the past, and present self is you at the present. Future self is you in the future. So we definitely need self-cultivation, because the best present self is your future self. So you need to grow yourself, continually to become the best yourself.
Best version of yourself, yeah. I think that's really, really beautiful. I think that's really beautiful. And I think we all should try to become the best versions of ourselves as possible. And then we should also help other people to become the best versions of themselves. So, and then I think you have a valuable contribution to the planet. Yeah. Your time here is well spent. Your time here has purpose, has meaning, and has a lasting effect for future generations to come. Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's a good summary already.
Okay, guys. I think we can leave it there, right? That's quite good ending for our topic today. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us, and we really hope that you'll come back and join us for our next topic next week at the same time. And thank you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.